risk an individual can go bankrupt, and so can a country.
Concerns for the Pope's health.
Pope Francis has developed pneumonia in both lungs.
A deep freeze north and south.
Got the blankets, heater going, tea going.
Good morning, I'm Peter King with a CBS World News Roundup. A judge has ruled against 14 states that wanted to block Elon Musk and his Doge cost cutters from accessing data. CBS News White House correspondent Nancy Cordes says Musk and President Trump spoke about Doge last night on Fox News.
Sitting alongside the president, billionaire Elon Musk insisted his aggressive moves to slash spending are only meant to fulfill Trump's vision.
I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life better. Sure. Yeah, and that's why I like my t-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support.
In a new decision, federal judge Tanya Chutkin said Musk's arrangement appears to be the unchecked authority of an unelected individual. But she said she could not restrain Doge's efforts to access federal computer systems without clear evidence of imminent, irreparable harm. President Trump argued Musk has been the key to ensuring his ambitious executive orders actually get implemented.
What he does is he takes it, and with his 100 geniuses, he's got some very brilliant young people. But he gets it done. He's a leader.
But Musk has also spread many false claims about his work. He said that millions of dead people are still getting Social Security checks, that the Department of Education had been eliminated, and he has accused myriad government offices of scams, corruption, and crime without proof.
Angry words between President Trump and Ukraine's leader as the U.S. and Russia talk about ending the war in Ukraine. CBS's MTS tie-up.
President Trump hit back at concern from Ukraine over not being invited to the U.S.-Russia peace talks in Saudi Arabia.
Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal.
The president's suggestion that Ukraine started the war and not Russia, which launched a full-scale invasion nearly 3 years ago, has shocked Ukrainian and European leaders. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had this to say. We are seeing a lot of disinformation that is coming from Russia, he said. Unfortunately, President Trump, with all due respect, is living in this disinformation space.
The Vatican says Pope Francis has had breakfast and is in good spirits. He's been sitting up in an armchair and breathing on his own while hospitalized for pneumonia. CBS's Seth Doan is in Rome.
We understand that the Pope had a CT scan on his chest, and that revealed the onset of bilateral or double pneumonia. The Vatican saying his medical situation continues to be complex. Adding to the complexity, as a younger man, he had part of his lung removed. And of course, this Pope is now 88 years old. In the meantime, his public schedule has been cleared, at least through this Sunday.
CBS's Dr. John LaPook.
Pneumonia in both lungs in an 88-year-old man is serious, especially since he has underlying lung disease, and the treatment is being described as complex. Maintaining a normal mental status is very important, so it's encouraging to hear he's in a good mood and able to pray and read text.
A polar vortex has sent temperatures well below zero from the northern plains to parts of the deep south. Nearly 30 below early this morning in Great Falls, Montana, just above zero in Amarillo, Texas. CBS News meteorologist Tony Sadico.
Polar vortex numbers could challenge records. We're talking about as cold as 20 below average as far south as Dallas. And that's before you factor in the wind chill. Wind chills, how about 9 below for highs in places like Kansas City. Feels just like the teens in Louisville.
KWTV's Hank Brown has been driving around frigid and icy Oklahoma City.
Any street that has not been treated is an absolute polished glaze of ice. It is extremely treacherous. On the highways, there actually is some wet. Now, the problem with that is it's 1 degree. You can't tell what's ice and what's not.
Several federal prosecutors have resigned rather than carry out the Justice Department's orders to drop corruption charges against New York Mayor Eric Adams. The judge will hear arguments from both sides today. Formula Law Professor Lori Levinson.
The judge has to give the final say as to whether this case will be dismissed, whether it will be dismissed without prejudice, which means that Adams could be prosecuted down the road, or maybe even dismissed with prejudice, which would make Adams free to do whatever he would want to do.
It's 5 past the hour.
Well, that's today's news. I didn't hear any